What to do when your kid breaks your screen time rules. Maybe they cracked your passcode, or they snuck an iPad into the bathroom, or they stayed up way past their bedtime watching one more episode. What do you do? How do you react? This is all part of the questions that we modern day parents have to answer. And today we're going to delve right in. Welcome back to Hi Fam. I'm Avital. I'm the founder and I'm the mother of five. And I'm here on a mission to help you to build a strong family culture, to really enjoy your home life and raising your children, because I do believe that that is the most meaningful project of our lives. Now, this video here is part of a series all about screen time and our relationship with the screen, how we can step into a real leadership role for our kids, how we can create a really rich offline screen time experience, what boundaries and emphasis we should set age by age. All of that has already been covered in previous videos. So after you've watched this one, make sure you go back and complete the series to give you a really in-depth look at your relationships with screens in your household. Today, we're going to be diving into what happens when things go wrong. Say you have clear rules and boundaries and expectations. Like in my house, one of the rules is that you never take a screen into your bedroom. What happens if one of my children do? Another rule that we have is that there are certain screen days and there are days where we don't use screens at all. What happens if they break that rule? Well, sometimes I've told my kids when the timer goes off, it's time to switch off. And I've gone to work at my computer and the timer went off and they didn't switch off. So they didn't actually listen to my rule. What do we do in these types of situations? Well, the first thing I want to share with you is that I think this is entirely normal and probably even inevitable for some children and in most households. There are kids who just listen to the rules. They're rule followers and they don't like to break the rules. They feel safe and calm and it's easy for them to comply. Obedience is kind of part of their temperament. But many children are either a little bit rebellious and like to push back and test boundaries, or they're just not going to adhere to it unless you reinforce and follow through. It's just not so high on their priority list. Like the next episode on Netflix is auto playing. That's going to be way more interesting than the fact that, yeah, I'd like to listen to mom. In the back of my mind, I think she might have told me to switch off now. So what do we do with those kids who either break the rules accidentally or in the more complicated and sticky situation on purpose? The first thing I want to do is normalize that for you and tell you that children aren't perfect, not even yours. All children are going to make mistakes or are going to have bad moods or are going to sometimes feel a little bit contrarian and testy. And that is not a sign of bad parenting. In fact, it might even be a sign of good parenting in some ways. Let me explain what I mean by that. If a child was really, really afraid of you, if a child thought that you would hurt them if they broke the rules, then they might be really robotically obedient. But children who feel comfortable with their parents, who have a secure attachment, have a healthy sense of separation and individuation. In other words, they know how to separate you from them. And even though you have a certain rule, they might decide that their individual spirit wants to test that rule or push back against it, resist it, or distrust it some way. That is not them completely disregarding your authority, completely disrespecting you, throwing caution to the wind or being a little brat. It's them differentiating in an albeit clumsy and perhaps, unrefined way. So that's the first thing. It's normal for children to push back against our rules and to test to see what happens with our boundaries. They want to see if we really mean it. They want to see what happens when push comes to shove. Or they're just really drawn in by the very dopamine-rich and addictive screens. That game is just too sticky for them to put it down, even though the rule says no games today. That is normal. And it's not something that I think we need to be heavily triggered by, worried by, or really punitive with. What I mean by that is it's not something that should really worry you. Like, oh, my child is so contrarian. My child is oppositional defiant. My child doesn't understand my family values. My child doesn't care about respecting me. Like, don't catastrophize this. If your child is caught red-handed doing something naughty with the screen like they shouldn't have been doing, that's not a catastrophe. That's just normal. Many times parents come to me with a little bit of a perfectionistic mindset about how their children are supposed to behave. Like, but I've instilled these values and we've followed through on these rules and we've, laid out the consequences and they know better. So why aren't they doing better? Sometimes I think the idea that when people know better, they do better is a little bit of a simplification or is just misguided. It's not entirely true. I mean, I know better about the types of things I'm supposed to be eating, or about what time I should get myself to bed, or how long I should be spending on social media. But that doesn't mean that I do better, because actually having self-regulation and self-control and the ability to, be disciplined, be self-disciplined, choose our higher good, choose the long-term consequences of our actions, do the harder thing, not the more fun, immediate thing. That takes quite a lot. That takes quite a lot of internal resources and self-talk and that self-discipline I just mentioned. And of course, your 7-year-old won't have that in ample supply. And that's just normal. So that's the first thing is I don't want you to take this personally. I don't want you to see it as some big deal of disrespect or of disobedience. And I want you to almost expect it to happen. I mean, in my household, I've definitely had very clear structure around screens for years, and my kids know full well what they are allowed and aren't allowed to do. But that's not to say that there haven't been times when I've caught them doing something they're not supposed to be doing. And that might worry me in the first moment. It might trigger me. It might make me feel really disrespected, or might make me feel like, oh my God, my kids are completely disobedient. They're sneaking, they're lying, they're breaking the rules. Maybe I haven't instilled the values that I thought I have. Maybe I haven't really succeeded. Maybe I'm a failure, right? And that just spirals me into maybe guilt or mom shame or all those things. But when I take a more kind of calm, cool, collected look at it, when I take a look at it with a little bit of perspective and I just quieten down that perfectionism, I realize that no, all kids go through periods where they're a little bit more testy, where they distance themselves, where they're checking on our boundaries, and where things are just too seductive. They just can't say no to the shiny object. We also have to remind ourselves that they don't have a fully developed prefrontal cortex to go through that self-discipline coaching. They need to learn that kind of perseverance and delayed gratification and doing the right thing, not the easy thing. All of that takes time, and they build that gradually over their childhood. So all this to say, don't panic. So the first thing is don't panic, but the second thing is to have a conversation. So don't have the conversation while you're panicked. Calm yourself down, come down from being in a triggered state, and try to address the situation with them and tell them what is going on. Now, you might have caught them red-handed and you might say, I saw you brought the Netflix into your bedroom, even though we don't allow screens in your room. Or the screen time app here, the parental control, is telling me that you spent 3 hours yesterday when you were only allowed 2. You want to just state this in a very matter-of-fact way, like, here are the facts. Because children are easily going to feel attacked. They're going to get defensive, and they might deny it or try to lie or try to obscure the truth or squirm their way out of it or ignore you to begin with because they feel so caught, right? It's that feeling of being caught red-handed. Oh no, I'm busted. And that sense of feeling scared of what your reaction might be. Are you going to punish them? Are you going to humiliate them? Are you going to lecture at them? And their initial natural response might really be to deny it. Now, the thing is that we do have to teach our children that honesty matters. Telling the truth is a value for us. And so if they do deny it at first, we might want to kind of coach them gently but firmly and say, well, sweetheart, I know you wish it wasn't true, and I know you wish I didn't find out, but I did find out, and this is what happens. Let's just face the truth together. Okay. And you want to kind of not hold their feet to the fire, but face them, hold a mirror up for them and be like, you did do something wrong. You have broken the rules. Here is what happened. Not embellishing it with all sorts of accusations or character assassinations or raising your voice, but really kind of the way I'm talking to you right now in a grounded tone. Here's what I see. I see that you have spent too much time on the phone. I see that you use my phone even though I don't allow it. I see that you broke into our passcode, etc. I see that you did download Instagram even though we agreed that that wasn't going to happen, right? We're just going to say, I see that you are acting in this way online or on a screen that we have previously agreed was not the rule. And then they might say, well, I didn't know it was the rule. You said it was the rule. You said I could watch that video on YouTube. You yourself showed me it, and now I'm doing it, and I didn't even know. You changed the rules in the summer holidays. All that kind of litigation is going to come out. They're going to be negotiating like little lawyers. And then you just want to, again, calmly, without accusing, I see, okay, maybe you did forget. Maybe you didn't realize. You're right. It was a bit of a mixed message that I allowed it in the summer and I don't allow it during the school year. Let's just reiterate here. The rule is that there is no YouTube on your phone whatsoever at all, unless I myself show you something on YouTube. Okay, I'm just giving you an example, right? So we're just reiterating and restating, say, oh, I see there's been some confusion here. Let me help clear this up. We'll get back to the show in just 1 minute. But before we do, let me ask you, when was the last time you got to get your work done, to get your housework done, to sip your coffee while it was hot, or even to shower alone when your little kids were home? Listen, if you have kids ages 0 to 9, I know just how challenging it can be to get through your to-do list every day or to get a moment of peace and quiet for yourself. That's because I have 5 kids myself. And through all the years of homeschooling them, of doing my housework, of building my business, of maintaining my sanity, I had to find a strategy that works to keep them entertained and happy in a guilt-free, screen-free way, and to allow me the time to actually run our household and life. So what was this big secret I discovered? Well, it's called independent play, and it's Mother Nature's gift to all children. That's right, all kids are designed to play independently. But the trouble is that in our modern day culture, both our parenting style and our household layout and even the types of toys we buy can sometimes be inadvertently sabotaging kids' natural instinct and urge and desire to play. And that's a shame not only for us because they nag and they're clingy and it's difficult, but also for them because independent play is the way that children learn. Children develop social and emotional skills, physical development, fine and gross motor skills, academic skills, basically everything they need to grow into well-rounded, well-adjusted adults through play. It's fun, it's easy, and it's free. But most of our kids aren't really doing it. They're nagging for a screen or they're vying for adult attention all the time. Why? Well, that's exactly what you'll discover inside my course, Reclaim Play. Reclaim Play breaks down step by step exactly the small, easy, manageable changes that you need to make inside your home and in the way that you actually approach your child in order to entice and seduce them back into their natural skills of developing through independent play. When children play independently for hours a day, yes, you heard that right, hours a day, it is such a pleasure and a joy to see them immersed in a state of flow and learning. They enjoy it and we feel guilt-free because they're not glued to a screen. It doesn't cost us money to schedule a babysitter or hire a nanny, and it allows us to get the breathing room we need to show up as the best parents we can be to them. So grab your copy of Reclaim Play, and within 3 weeks, your child could be playing for hours a day. Find the link in the show notes or somewhere around this video. And now let's get back to the show. Even when they do admit it, yes, I was watching, I know I shouldn't have, or yes, I downloaded the app that you didn't allow. I want you to thank them for their honesty. This is the next point. It's really important that they know that what they did might be wrong, but admitting it and being honest about it is right and is celebrated. And therefore, they will feel more rewarded by this entire interaction than punished by it. They should feel actually some sense of satisfaction with themselves for being honest with you and having a mature conversation with you about it, rather than feeling awful with themselves for getting caught and now being punished. So really kind of come down heavy on the praise for building trust, for being honest, for admitting something even though it was hard. You really want to say to them, spell it out in clear language. I know it's really hard to admit when you've done something wrong. I find it really hard. And I'm really impressed with how mature you were, that you owned it, that you were honest about it, that you shared that with me. And I want you to know that I really value honesty in our relationship. That's how we trust each other. And I really appreciate you telling me the truth, even though it was hard. I want you to know that you can always tell me the truth, even if it's something I don't approve of, even if you've broken a rule, even if you're in trouble somehow. I always want to hear, and I'm always here to talk about it, even if it's a little bit hard, awkward, uncomfortable, sticky in the beginning. We're going to figure it out together. So thank you for sharing the truth. That really says a lot about you as a person. The next thing is you want to empathize a little bit because we get it. It is hard to follow the rules. It is hard not to watch yet another episode or not to download the app that everybody has or not to watch the movie that everybody's watching, whatever rules it is that they've broken. It is hard. These things have been designed to capitalize on our brain, to consume our attention, and to be really addictive. And so even though they wanted to do the right thing, a child may not be able to because they couldn't withstand this temptation and seduction. We want to just validate that and say, hey, I get it. Like, you're not justified in breaking the rules, but I understand why you did it. And I probably would have a lot of trouble keeping the rules myself. In fact, I do. Sometimes I promise myself I'm going to put my phone away, or I'm not watching one more episode. And then I, fail myself because it is really hard. I do get it. Then you want to reiterate the why behind your boundaries. You could say something like, do you know why we have this rule in place? Do you remember why I explained I don't want you on TikTok? Do you remember what we spoke about when it came to Call of Duty or Roblox or whatever else? We want to help them understand that we're not just here to exercise authority and control over them. We're trying to help them. And I want you to really use that word, HELP. It's an amazing parenting word because it reminds us that we are there to help our children grow and develop to their best possible potential. And we're there to help them, maintain their focus and attention, stay off of bad ideas and radicalizing rabbit holes, stay off of really harmful social media interactions, keep their best brain cells for education and development and life events and face-to-face interactions, and not just for the digital world. We want to help them have real life experiences and not just a virtual relationships and parasocial relationships online. And so we're there to help them. We're not here to harm them or, to hold them back somehow or to hurt them. And it's really important in a conversation like this where you're kind of catching them and they're feeling guilty and like, oh no, she's going to punish me. Now I'll never have a phone. Now I'll never be able to watch this. To show them that there's a reason that we have these rules in place. We're not just doing it to upset you. We're actually here to set boundaries that are going to help you grow. You can share data with your kids. You can talk about attention and focus. You can talk about the type of interactions that happen on social media. You can talk about what happens to our brains when we watch, violent or overly sexual content. Those are the types of things that help kids understand why you're being so mean about screens in the first place. And you also want to reiterate what the boundary actually is. The rules easily get fuzzy. Maybe you have different weekend rules and weekday rules, or different rules for older siblings and younger siblings, or you've changed your mind on something. You want to reiterate it, and a bonus pro tip here is to write it down. Write your screen rules down. What are they allowed to do? What are they not allowed to do? So that it isn't really up for vague interpretations. There's nothing fuzzy or blurry about it. It's clear, it's black on white, written down. No YouTube, for example, okay? No screens after 8 p.m., no matter what. No screens in the bedroom, okay? You're only allowed Netflix on Fridays. You write down what your rules are, get really clear on them, and share them with your child so that we don't have these confusions, and explain to them, I don't want to feel like you're sneaking, and I don't want you to feel like you're sneaking. I want us to agree together. These are the rules for this season, for this year, and we can renegotiate them in the future. But for now, these are the rules. The next thing you might want to do is to apply a consequence. Consequences are basically punishments, but the idea is to use them sparingly to help children to cement that there are consequences to my actions. And if I break trust, then my parents aren't going to trust me as much. If I'm not responsible, I'm going to have fewer privileges. We want our children to always make the connection that I get more privilege and more freedom when I'm more accountable and more responsible. The more I prove that I can follow rules, that I can delay gratification, that I can behave responsibly, the more my parents trust me with more device time, with more open channels, with more apps, etc. And so we want to tell them that, yes, that is true. The more you follow the rules, the more we trust you and the more you get. But also, if you break the rules, then privileges are taken away and suspended for a while until we feel that you've proven yourself again. Now, the trick here is not to punish them like authoritarian, angry parent that's trying to control them and inflict pain back on them. We don't want to create this kind of ping pong or this competition of who's going to hurt who most. That just causes a revenge cycle, and it actually creates distance between us and our children. Here, we want to say to them, okay, so you snuck a movie into your bed after I put you to sleep. What do you think we should do to help reset our trust? I'm thinking maybe we skip movie time tomorrow and we just go out to the park and play outdoors because we've actually had trust broken between us, and we should take a break from it and we'll do a restart and come back to it after that. Okay. You're not going to be able to use the phone later today until bedtime because you used it earlier today when you weren't supposed to. And now a lot of you are going to feel resistance and say, Vital, that's a punishment, and punishments just create, desire of revenge and a detachment between parent and child, a disconnect. And all of that can be true, but it can also be administered in a very calm, rational, logical way. A logical consequence is something that we all face in our adult life. Like if you park somewhere where you're not allowed to park, the logical consequence of that is that you're going to be fined, you're going to be towed, you're going to be clamped, right? You're going to suffer some kind of consequence, or at least that's the risk that you run. And it's true in any area of our adult life. If we're rude to our boss, we run the risk that he won't promote us or he'll fire us or that kind of thing. So yeah, if you break rules in the world, in the country that you live in the town that you live in, and in the family that you live in, then, you get reduced privileges. And that creates a logical link in the brain that this isn't in my best interest. Next time, it's better for me to delay my gratification and not to grab it right now, but rather to maintain the trust. And what we want to emphasize here is that trust is really hard to build and really easy to break. You just do one thing that was against the rules, break one rule, lie one time, represent yourself dishonestly once to someone, and they see you as a liar. They see you as a sneak. They see you as someone that they can't trust. And we want to emphasize in this conversation that trust between us is paramount. It's the most important thing. I want to know that I can believe in your word, that I can trust you, and that if you say you're going to do something or not going to do something, you're really going to follow through. And every time you break that makes me have to call that into question. So next time when you say, Mom, I will switch off, I don't know if I can believe you because you didn't this time. Do you see? That's why that's really serious. So you can stay with just that logical consequence, like, hey, you've really broken my trust. And next time you ask me for something, I'm going to say, Hun, I wish I could, but last time you said you wouldn't and you did, and now I can't really trust you. Or you can layer in a more kind of artificial punitive consequence, and so today you're not going to get your next screen time or whatever, right? We're suspending the phone for the weekend, whatever it might be. Now, I completely leave that up to you and your intuition, feeling how severe it is. But what I would say is this: if a child just makes a mistake, they ran through the deadline, they weren't noticing, they were just so enamored and so, seduced, and they just forgot or didn't care enough. If it was kind of negligence, then I would say just have a logical consequence. Just be like, okay, well, next time I'm going to have to come and switch it off. But if a child is rebelling against you, they're testing you, they're sneaking, or if they lied about it and didn't properly admit it to begin with, if they're not really confessing it, if they're still being very cagey, that's the time to introduce a more forceful kind of real punitive consequence, i.e. I'm taking something away now because I can see that you don't feel it in your heart. You don't feel sorry about what you did. If I saw that you didn't really mean it, or it was a mistake, or you feel really sorry and you admit it and you confess it and you're taking it on to change next time, I don't need any more tools. I don't need to lay it on any heavier. Enough, I see you've got this. But if I see you're not taking this seriously, you don't understand that what you've done is consequential, then I need to layer on another consequence there so that you feel the pain of your poor choice. Either way, you want to apply that calmly and lovingly. It's to help them. And you want to show them how it helps them by saying, okay, if we can get through this one and you can do it right this time, then next time I will trust you more and we can have a reset. Speaking of reset, you always want to end these conversations with connection. Show them gratitude for being honest, for showing up, for accepting the consequences of their actions, for admitting what they've done, and for talking respectfully or calmly or not interrupting you or anything they did well in the conversation. You want to offer them a really warm hug. Tell them how amazing they are as people, how much you love them, right? Have that heart-to-heart connection so that they know that you're not just punishing them, you're not just trying to control them, you're not just trying to take away the thing they love most in the world, but you're really there for them, guiding them, and really having a meaningful conversation where they feel they can talk to you about this stuff. You've validated their deep desire, their, wants, and you've also shared firmly and clearly about the boundaries, rules, and expectations of this family. That conversation can end with a reset. The idea is then to let it go, not to carry a grudge, not to start telling everybody about it or, gossiping about your child to the in-laws in front of them, not to bring it up again with them unless it's absolutely crucial to do so. To be like, okay, we're going to let this go now. I trust you that you're not going to do it again. Okay, hun? I believe in you. I know it's really tempting, but I don't want this to be the nature of our relationship or how things work. If you feel that you need more screen time or that you really want something, you can ask me. And if I say no, you're going to have to accept that. But we're not going to sneak or lie about it because that would break our trust. Okay. Hey, bring it in here. Let's have a big hug. And then we really, reconnect. We feel close. And we move on to do the next thing. Let's go bake. Let's go read. Let's go have a bath, whatever, because that's over now. And they don't need to carry the shame or the guilt of that over their head. They've kind of paid their dues. They've confessed. They're having a consequence of this. And we're going to move on. I really hope this helps. I would love to hear what your advice is. Have you been in a situation where your child has broken the screen time rules? How did you handle it? Was it similar to what I've outlined here? Is there something you feel I missed? Let me know what your questions are with regards to the relationship to the screen. If you want me to get a little sharper on one specific subject, let me know. I'll try and address it in a future video. Meanwhile, I want you to know that I read every comment and they mean the world to me. It's really the best way to support this channel for free is to leave a comment and to share the video with a friend. Make sure to subscribe with the notification bell and the thumbs up button. Again, that really helps us and keep on living that high fam life. So much love, and I'll see you in the next one.